Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Vinny Vegas, and this is Pounding the Meat. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a very, very special guest right now. One of the most extreme professional wrestlers of all time. One of the most entertaining professional wrestlers of all time. The man, the myth, the legend, Sabu is here with us. But before we start the show, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you like the content that you see, hit that notification bell and hit all notifications so you're alerted when we post a new video. I'm ready to bring my special guest on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the one, the only, Sabu. There he is.
Thank you.
Sabu, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for being here with me, and thank you for your time.
You got it.
We're going to talk a little bit about the career, your legendary career that's still going. You're still doing some promotions now too, right?
Not really. I've been doing autograph signings and appearances. I haven't been wrestling much. I hurt my back about a year ago. Since
the pandemic has kind of slowed down a little bit, how's it been feeling to get back out there?
Well, yeah, it feels good to be back out here. When the pandemic hit, I fell and I did a slip and fall. I fell down the same time the pandemic hit. So we were out of work and I was injured. So I couldn't go to the gym. I ain't been to the gym about a year. But anyways, I'm not completely retired yet. I probably still have another match, but right now I'm retired for the moment.
You're just, taking it easy, making sure you're getting ready to get back out there.
Yeah, sort of. I'm in so much pain that I can't train yet.
I got you. It's just the back that's giving you problems?
Yeah, well, my shoulder, my back, and a few other things. But my back is the main thing.
Okay. Well, we're going to send some good vibes out to you, Sabu, man. We would love to see you back in the ring. Of course, if you want to. I want to go back a little bit, all right? Let's go back to when you started training, getting back into wrestling. Or getting into wrestling, I should say. Trained by the Sheik.
Yeah.
Nowadays, these guys go to like a performance center, a state-of-the-art performance center, and everything's done for them. They get paid to train. What was it like for you? What was it like old school way?
Well, when I started, you had to pay to be trained, which you paid with with work. You didn't pay with money. You paid with work by being, a young boy or a servant. So times has changed, but I just got to accept it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way Vince changed it, where everything turned into a script, but that's the way it is now.
Back when you were getting into the business, right? What were the things that you had to do to prove yourself, to prove I belong here, I belong in the ring?
Well, how I started was my uncle had me set I moved out to his house. It was the wintertime, and he had me set to get the ring out of the barn and set it up. And I set the ring up every day and tore it down every night, but never got to train in it, not for 7 months. He just had me set it up and tear it down for 7 months. And then I earned his respect to be trained.
Got you. So you had to pull the wrestling ring out of the barn, set it all up.
Yes, by myself.
Did he ever let you wrestle during the shows or anything, or you were just
no? I practiced before the show, but I didn't wrestle during the show. I refereed usually. Got you.
And how long did you do that until your uncle said, "You know what? Let's see what you got. Let's get you in the ring for a show."
About a little over 5 years.
Wow, 5 years, man. That's insane. That's paying your dues, man. That's blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly. I had to pay my dues, even though my uncle's a Sheik. I still had to pay him.
See, it's so different now. It's so different. These guys, they have it made. They get paid to go there. They get paid to do whatever they're told to do. Read from scripts. No, you made yourself. The name Sabu. Where did it come from? How did that start?
My uncle was a fan of the Jungle Book. In the 1920s, there was a movie called The Jungle Book, and there's a character in it called Mowgli. But the actor was named Sabu. My uncle was a fan of the actor. He always pretended he was the actor Sabu when he was growing up, put a towel on his head and ran around acting crazy. Then when they had a son, my aunt, my uncle, he wanted to name his son Sabu, but my aunt wouldn't let him. So they named the dog Sabu. Then after the dog died, that's when I came along, and then he named me Sabu.
Sabu. And it was originally Sabu the Elephant Boy, right? What was the Elephant Boy moniker?
Well, the Elephant Boy, I dropped it. An Elephant Boy in India is like a cowboy. They herd elephants. It's a very dangerous job. It's not an easy job either as being a cowboy. but they heard elephants. So in India, if I was called Sabu the Elephant Boy, they would understand it. But here in the States, they don't understand it. It sounds like a joke.
Yeah. So did you decide to drop that, or was it?
Yes, I had. Yeah. And everywhere I went, they wanted to drop it also. They didn't like it either.
Yeah, the Elephant Boy, but you can understand herding elephants. Jesus Christ, I don't even know how that's done. You know, I can't even herd my own dog, let alone elephants. So you're working your way up. All right, we're gonna skip forward a little bit. You're now Sabu. You drop the Elephant Boy moniker. You're Sabu. In '93, correct me if I'm wrong. You try out for the WWF, the Federation. Okay, you have some dark matches. You got to wrestle the late great Owen Hart.
Yes.
First off, what was that match like? What was it like to be in the WWF, first of all? And not only that, but to wrestle Owen.
I didn't really think much about it. I wasn't going to take their offer no matter what. So I already had my attitude adjusted to where I didn't want them. So, and I didn't like the way I'm used to it now. I don't like the way that, WWE is ran with all the script and the camera work and the fancy stuff, the lighting and all that, and the fireworks. I'm not really into all that. So that doesn't do nothing for me. So when I seen it, it didn't do nothing for me. So, but I did like wrestling Owen, but I did it for the money. I didn't do it for the tryout.
Got you. Okay. So you went knowing I'm not taking this shit. I'm just going to go get some cash and bounce. Vince
goes, how can you turn down a job with a company who might not even be there tomorrow? And I said, I just can't. I've already made my mind.
Was he referring to ECW at the time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you had your mind made up that I'm going to ECW. I'm going to stop here for a little quick pit stop and get some cash, but I'm out. I'm going to ECW.
Right.
What was it like meeting Vince? Because love him or hate him, he created a mammoth in WWF at the time. What was it like meeting him?
He changed the business way more than I did. I have to respect that. I don't hate him. I actually like him. Actually, he's a very brilliant guy. He's a genius, and he has a great vision, and he still has one, and he's still hungry for the business. But I actually liked him. He was okay.
Now I hear different stories, right? You hear he's a very warm guy, he's welcoming, and then you hear he's an asshole. He's Satan. What was he like towards you?
He was always very respectful towards me. Always very respectful. Talked low and right to the point, and didn't joke around too much. And he said that he was amazed with my talent, and that he said I was better than he thought and better than everybody else. But I don't know if he meant it because he didn't really stand behind me that much.
Right.
But I like being around him. He was okay. I just didn't hang out with him because he's not my buddy. So I didn't want to hang out. I didn't want to hang out with him.
Yeah. When you got there, when you were doing the tryouts, who were some of the guys that you remember meeting, and did you talk to anyone or bump shoulders with anybody?
I talked to the Samoans, Sam, and I talked to Bam Bam Bigelow and Owen, of course, and Bret Hart, and a few other guys.
Yeah,
Bret was pretty warming.
Yeah, Bret's a good guy, man, and Owen, we all know Owen. All wrestling fans respect Owen. It was probably an honor just to wrestle him for that dark match. But listen, man, you did what you had to do. You felt in your heart that WWF wasn't the home for you. And if you could go back though, Sabu, and to those dark matches, right? Would you have taken the offer from Vince at that time?
I like to say I would, but I still wouldn't. I wouldn't have been proud of myself because they wanted me to be the Sultan and have the Iron Sheik as my manager, and that wasn't even a possibility. That wasn't even close. I wasn't even going to consider that. But that's what Vince had in mind, and so I turned down something that didn't appeal to me. It didn't appeal to me. But would I take it now? No, but I kind of wish I would.
Okay, so that was the gimmick he offered you, was the Sultan. And so your manager would have been Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
And right away, that turned you off to the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. I was wrestling, 8-9 years at the time. So I was already set. I didn't need someone to teach me no more. Although I still was learning, but I didn't need to be taught no more. I was already set, standing on my own, and I was proud of myself. Now, if I was to do that Sultan thing, I would have been proud of myself because I've been doing someone else's idea and someone else's brainstorm, not mine.
Yeah. They kind of would take your gimmick and then tweak it to make it what
exactly.
they wanted
They said they'd modify it.
Yeah. Did they want you to do promos on your own, or was Iron Sheik going to be the mouthpiece?
The Iron Sheik was probably going to do the promos. The Sultan was supposed to have a mask on his mouth that he got his tongue taken out. So he had a mask that was going to explain why I didn't talk.
Okay.
But I really didn't get too far into it. I wasn't interested.
Yeah. So you're just like, you just listened to what he had to say and just to be polite and keep it moving. In '93, you win the ECW title from Shane, right? Mr. Shane Douglas. And we had Shane on the show not too long ago. Awesome guy. How was it like working with Shane Douglas?
It was great, very professional. He put me over huge my first match my first time I wrestled him for the belt. I didn't expect him to do that, but he did, and he's a very gracious guy.
He seems like to this day, he's one of those guys that respects and loves the business. And
yes,
he does, and he cares a lot about, the history of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Another thing I'll mention to you is a lot of these new guys, we'll get into the current product, but a lot of these new guys don't seem to respect the history of pro wrestling. It's basically, I'm here, make my money and get my fame and have some clout on social media. What do you think of that opinion? Do you think that that's what it is today?
Yeah, because you can contact almost anybody if you know their email or their Facebook thing or whatever. So you can talk to almost anybody. So, and a lot of people talk to me who didn't think they would, but they can get a hold of me. So social media has broke that down to where they can be on your level. So I don't particularly like it, but like I said, I got to accept it.
Yeah, it's the way it is now. But back then, that's what really helped Kayfabe was no contact. Exactly. It was this mystery.
It was a secret, like a secret brotherhood. Once you became a wrestler, you already know that you didn't tell anybody about it. You keep it a secret.
Back in the day when Kayfabe was the thing, right? How would you avoid being seen publicly, to keep your persona alive?
Yeah, I don't know. I never had that problem. I didn't get recognized that much on the street. So I have that problem. My uncle got recognized, but people were scared of him, so nobody messed with him. So I don't know. I know, like I said, I was never that over outside the ring. I don't look the same when I'm walking through the airport and stuff.
Got you. Todd Gordon. Was he the man that brought you to ECW? Because people get confused. They think it was Paul Heyman, right? But it was Todd Gordon.
Well, I talked to Paul for a while through this photographer, Linda Rufus. She told him about me. So I was talking to him for a few months. And then Dennis Carluzzo called me and said, call Todd Gordon. He's a sucker. You can get $500 out of him. So okay, so I called Todd Gordon and he put me over. And I didn't have the guts to ask him for 500, so I asked him for 300. And he said, yeah. So he brought me in. It happened to be the same day he fired Eddie Gilbert and he hired Paul Lee. So me and Paul Lee were in the same place at the same time without a plan,
Wow. So
it's had me go out and wrestle and I got over it and I got over.
The stars aligned at that moment. What was it like meeting Paul Lee for the first time? Is he the same guy as he was then, or?
Yeah, he tells you all these good things about you, but then you hear him lying about something, then you wonder if what he's saying to you is even true. And and he has a passion for even the stuff he makes up.
Tell me when you realized ECW with Paul Heyman was really starting to take off. What was starting to happen? What was going on at that time?
Well, every time I went there, the attendance kind of doubled. First it was like 200 people, then it was 400 people, then it was 800 people, then it was 1,000, and then up to 2,000. Every time I came in, it kept growing. So, that felt good to do that. You could see it growing.
Yeah, and you became synonymous with breaking tables. It was you, Sabu. It was you, the guy who really made it a thing. And barbed wire matches, Sabu. I know you've been asked this a million times, right? But there's a lot of people who are going to be watching this that probably haven't heard about it or really heard the answer. What the hell goes through your mind? What the hell goes through your mind when you know a barbed wire match is coming? How do you prepare for it?
It's just another match. It's a work. It's a work. It's what you make of it. It's only as dangerous as you make it. If you don't want it to be dangerous, you don't have to be. But I made it. I tried hard at it, so it was dangerous, and the people liked it. I didn't particularly like it or dislike it. I did it because it was my job. I just did it because whatever job I'm faced with, I'll try my best at it.
Right. You see interviews with Mick Foley. He's like, I kind of like the pain. Some people kind of.
So I'm not like that. I don't like the pain. I can take it. I can take it. I don't like it.
I was going to ask you. You definitely have a high pain tolerance. right? To do some of the stuff he did in the ring.
I don't have that pain tolerance anymore, but I did.
Yeah, you lost it over time, right? Yeah. With Terry Funk, man, another legend, and we hope he's doing better. You know, he was going through some health issues. We hope he's doing better.
He'll get better.
That match, the iconic, you know, barbed wire match. At the end of it, did you feel that it was going to be as iconic as it is now?
No, I kind of thought it was fucked up because we got stuck in the barbed wire, but I ended up adding to the match. During when we were getting cut out, I go, oh man, we fucked up. We're stuck in this wire. But I actually added to the match, so that made the match better. But I didn't think it was going to be talked about 10 years later or even the next year later. I just thought it would be another match.
It's known as one of the greatest and most gruesome matches of all time.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
You actually have a book out, and I'll put the link to the book in the description of this video and on our social media posts when this video airs. Here it is.
Yes, it is.
Sabu, Scars, Silence, and Superglue. I love the title. Superglue. Sabu. Superglue. Was that your thing? You were like, you know, I got to get some superglue to fix myself up.
Well, I actually use crazy glue. I stopped saying crazy glue because there's a patent on the name crazy glue. Super glue is generic.
Gotcha.
But anyways, I read it somewhere where in World War I or II or something that they use surgical glue to close wounds until they got into a match unit. So my first barbed wire match, I had to go to the hospital and they gave me stitches. It took all night to get stitches. It wasted my whole day because I got out of the hospital like 8 a.m. and I had to get right back on the bus. And so the next time I got cut, I crazy glued it, super glued it because I didn't feel like going to the hospital. And then I caught on. I started crazy gluing the whole dressing room.
The tear in the bicep, you know, we're going to get to the broken neck soon, but was that one of your worst injuries? Would you say?
Yes and no. It wasn't after I got back to the back because it was just a flesh wound, you know.
Right.
But while it was happening, when I did it in the ring, I panicked because I was bleeding out of my vein and I could see right to my bone and my bicep cut in two. And I still had to continue the match. The match practically just started, and I knew I had to continue the match. But I was losing so much blood. That's where I had Fonzie get me the tape to cut off my circulation so I could continue.
ECW really made your career kind of explode here, okay? And then in '95, you go to New Japan. What was the difference wrestling in New Japan than it is in the States? What are the main differences?
Well, at the time between Japan and the States was a joke and Japan was serious. They treat you like a sports hero in Japan, and in the States they treat you like a joke because WWE was comical.
Yeah.
But Japan, they gave us more respect, so we all liked going to Japan more. But then when we went to Japan all the time, it got to be kind of suck because we're away from our family so much.
Right. Was the pay better in Japan?
Oh yeah, way better. 100 times better.
Now, when you say the States were a joke, as far as WWF is concerned, is it because during that era, all the characters, like the Doink the Clowns and stuff like that?
Everybody said you had to have a gimmick. To me, not everybody has to have a gimmick. Some gimmicks are no gimmick. That's the gimmick. They're wrestlers. They're not comicals or cartoons. Professional wrestling in the States, people laughed about it. And you mentioned professional wrestling in Japan, and people were serious about it, like a baseball player. So I never told people in the States I was a pro wrestler. I never said that.
Right. Were you kind of embarrassed during that era to even say
because
you were pro wrestling?
they say, oh, you're a wrestler. You must be one of those guys that get beat all the time because you're not very big. And then I go, well, I don't want to talk about it, because they don't understand. I don't want to explain it to them.
Right. In New Japan, were American pro wrestlers kind of looked at as idols, as gods in a way?
Yeah, kind of, because pro wrestling started in the States. So whenever you wrestle in Japan, they do the 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 instead of Ichni side. They don't count in Japanese. They count in English, and they count in Spanish because from where the wrestling came from, Mexico and the United States. Yeah, and plus the Americans were bigger than the Japanese. A lot of the Americans, they always try to get somebody big, especially Baba's company. They always got big guys. And so the Americans were usually always bigger. I was one of the smaller ones, but still they were never somebody because my uncle was a Sheik, but they didn't have to be after they met me.
What is one of your most memorable matches from New Japan?
in New Japan. I had one in January 5th, 1995, Tokyo Dome. Me and Chono versus Fujinami and Harada. That one was pretty big. That was like 60,000 people.
60,000 people, man.
Yeah.
What was it like hearing the roar of that crowd, man?
It was quiet. It wasn't that much of a roar. It was quiet. Yeah, like the ring is above the people, so you when you breathe and stuff, you can hear it echo all the way back. Like you be breathing hard, and you hear yourself breathing hard back. So and when you talk, you can hear yourself. It's so quiet. Now and then, you tear the house down, but most of the time it's quiet. People are intrigued by it. They watch it like they're watching a chess game.
Is it true that during the matches in Japan that the crowd is silent, like out of respect to the wrestlers?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It feels like you're doing a bad job, but it doesn't mean you're doing a bad job.
I was going to ask you how difficult is it to kind of gauge the match with the silence, You
just got to believe in what you're doing is the right thing.
Gotcha.
Even though they're quiet, they don't know what they're seeing, or if they do know what they're seeing, they don't know how to react.
In 95, you return to ECW and you have a Rob Van Dam feud. Are you still cool with Rob Van Dam to this day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talk every couple of days.
Do you? What was it like feuding with that guy, man? Another legend in wrestling.
It was cheating because I trained him, so it was easy wrestling him because he wrestled the way I wanted him to, and I wrestled the way he was used to. And so it was cheating. So I don't brag about it that much because we cheated by like I wrestled him in 2010 for TNA, and everybody go, "Oh, that was a great match." And I go, "Well, why is everybody surprised? I trained with this guy for 20 years. Why was it surprised that it was a good match?"
Yeah,
like it was a surprise.
You think he's one of the guys that you gelled with the best in the ring?
Yeah, Rob is definitely one of the best gellers.
And then you had, of course, your feud with Taz. You had some ups and downs with Taz. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, but we're cool now. But even then, I liked it because he was pretty competitive. He's very competitive. He was always trying to get in on whatever I was doing. He was trying to get in on it. And eventually we had a breakup where we were almost fighting.
When it comes to wrestling or working with someone, some people are considered more stiff than others, right? They're a little more rough in the ring.
Yeah.
Do you respect that about people, or is that really a thing that's a no-no in pro wrestling?
No, it's okay to be rough and stiff. I respect that. I don't like guys that are too light, but like say the Undertaker, he was so light you don't feel him. Now, if you're stiff to him, he'll bitch about you. He'll get you fired. But if you're stiff with me, I won't get you fired. I'll tell you to ease up or keep it up. The top guys in WWF, if you're too stiff to them, they'll get you fired.
Wow. That's fucking wild, man.
I've never had anybody really complain that much. If anybody did complain, I'd ease up right away. But they didn't complain. I kept it up stiff. And everybody says I got the stiffest punch. Not really. Just I have a potato. Every 3 punches I throw, the third one's a potato. So and that's just the way it is.
Now, a potato, is that like one that really smacks you? Is that the...
Yeah, you really hit somebody.
Okay. Undertaker was super light in the ring. Do you consider Undertaker...
He's one of the best, really. He's one of the best.
You consider him like... you just said one of the greatest ever, right?
Yes.
But that's kind of weird, man, that he would get you fired if you were too rough with him. Isn't that a little weird to be a pro wrestler and act like that? Yeah,
but we do it every day. You can't have a guy making a mistake and punching you in the mouth every night.
Gotcha.
You got to calm him down. Now, I would punch a guy in the mouth hard every night, but it was a light punch, but they could feel it. It was easy to sell. I always made it easy to sell.
So, Sabu, we talked about your injury with the bicep earlier, right? Now, you've broken your neck twice.
No, see, the second time, that was a work. It just looked like I did, but I didn't. I hurt my neck, but it wasn't. I don't think I broke it again. I didn't even go to the hospital. I just said it.
Got you. So we'll go back and you say you broke your neck. All right. Originally,
I did break my neck the one time against Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Yes.
All right. Did you ever get along with Chris?
Yes and no. We didn't hang out, but he helped me get booked in New Japan, and my first feud was with him in New Japan. So so we got along, but we didn't hang out with each other, and we were two different people. We didn't listen to the same music. We didn't like the same things. It's not that I didn't like him, but I didn't like him. I didn't like him that much, but I didn't dislike him that much either.
Got you. Okay. So you guys I
don't judge that on my neck either. I didn't like him because he's just not my kind of guy.
Got you. he just wasn't a guy that you would hang out with outside of work.
Exactly. There's nothing really stands out. He's just not my kind of guy.
When you broke your neck, was there some type of hostility after that or no? Or
No, I knew it wasn't on purpose. I was a little bit mad at first because I thought he was reckless because he kept telling me in the back when he throws me to land flat, but don't tuck. But when he threw me, my legs kept going higher and my head kept going lower, and I couldn't stop, and then it came straight down on my head.
Jesus Christ!
But he could have been a little carefuler. But I didn't care that much. But I just thought he could have been carefuler, and I didn't think he did it on purpose. I thought he was reckless.
Did you know you broke your neck when it happened?
I snapped. You can hear it like firecrackers.
Shit.
It didn't snap in half, though. I take that back. It's compression fracture. So when my vertebrae cracked, but my spinal cord was fine. My spinal cord was bruised, but it was fine.
Okay.
Now Hayabusa, he was a wrestler from FMW. He broke his neck. He severed his spinal cord. He severed it.
Oh,
his cord was cut. He was paralyzed right away.
You hear all these horror stories. I mean, some guys have been paralyzed in the ring. Thank God.
Oh yeah, and a lot of guys got paralyzed by like Triple H and by Shawn Michaels with their shitty finishes and stiff finishes, and they would sue WWE, and those guys keep going. And they have Triple H probably got paralyzed 2 or 3 guys. There's 2 or 3 guys in wheelchairs because of him.
Jesus Christ!
I don't think I put anybody in a wheelchair. I might have put one person. Maybe they probably deserved it though.
Fuck, man, my God, my God, dude.
But he put a few guys in the hospital. And he paralyzed a few guys.
Fuck, man. And he's still there. He's one of the big wigs. Big wigs. He's the son-in-law. You know?
Yeah.
Chris Benoit, we all know what happened, which is an awful, awful tragedy. Did you see a guy like that doing something like that? Were there signs?
No, like I said, he wasn't my kind of guy. I didn't care for him that much, but I didn't see that. There's no way I seen that. Nancy was a very good friend of mine. When I broke into business, her and Kevin Sullivan helped me out so much. Me and her were the same age, so she was like a sister to me. And then 20 years later, I'm working in New York or WWE, and she's there too with Chris. So that was kind of weird. But and I was still friends with Kevin till this day. If she was alive, I'd be friends with her right this moment still.
Right. What was your reaction when you heard that? Could you even believe it?
It was shocking and heartbreaking. Hard to believe that he could take. I understand him killing Nancy. Anybody, I don't approve of it. But I can understand a husband getting mad at his wife and killing her on accident. I can understand that, but I can't understand him killing his son. That I can't wrap my head around that. I can't understand that.
That's beyond the line. Like, I get what you're saying. There could be a fit of rage. Something happened.
Yeah, that's understandable, sort of. I don't condone it, but I understand that.
No, I know what you mean, but the child, when you hear that, you go, "Oh my God!" What do you?
Well, he had some compassion because he gave him a Xanax before he choked him. So I guess he choked him while he's unconscious.
Do you think it was guilt after the fact, and he just couldn't live with himself? Do you think that's what it was?
Yeah, I don't think he wanted his son to have to live through it, But from what I heard, I don't know for sure. But Nancy was tied up and tortured and hogtied for 2 or 3 days,
Jesus,
and was dead for the longest. That of 3, and so I don't know what was going through his head. He was beating the shit out of her, and it wasn't like a roid rage. Road rage, you go mad for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then you calm down. You don't get mad for 3 days and don't touch the ground. He had a lot of up and down time. Even text Chavo Guerrero saying he loved him and all that stuff. During the same time, he's supposed to have been killing his family. Those are 2 different emotions: saying he loves somebody and killing somebody.
So after these matches you would have, the barbed wire matches, the table matches, I remember hearing an interview where you talk about the medics that were backstage, right? The medics. Were these guys just off the street, or were these professional EMTs here?
Yeah, they were EMTs, but they were voluntary. They were called damage control. They lived in Philly, and they had an ambulance, a husband and wife, and they ended up breaking up, and the wife ended up going with a wrestler. But anyways, they're voluntary. But yeah, we need them. They made themselves look more important than they was.
When you're back there in the locker room at ECW, I hear that there was kind of like, it was a family, right? It was a family. Yeah. It was a brotherhood, but then there was a totem pole, right? The big guys were on top, and then the new guys, they stayed on their side of the room.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But like Taz had his spot in the dressing room. Other guys had their spot, and I had my spot. My spot was everywhere. Everybody hung out with me at one point. Like I used to hang out with New Jack all the time.
Yeah.
And people never knew that. And we each had our own little spot in the dressing room. Like Rob and Pee Wee, my referee, and a few other guys would be in my area. And anybody who was new in town used to pass by through my area and came to my area first. And then we smoke a joint or something and introduce them to the rest of the dressing room.
Were those some of the best times, just hanging out backstage with the guys?
Yeah, that is the best time. You hear the best stories and you have the best thoughts about wrestling, and the most creative is when you're in the dressing room.
Were you one of those guys that would welcome in some of the newbies and kind of show them around?
Yeah. If they didn't shake my hand, I would shake their hand. But if they didn't offer their hand the second time, I wouldn't shake their hand no more. But if they offered their hand, I always shook it. But in case they were nervous, I always put my hand out first. Now, if they put my hand out first and they didn't see it, I wouldn't put my hand out again.
Gotcha.
Like, for instance, Ric Flair, he'd come in the dressing room, shake everybody's hand, and skip mine with my hand out. He'd skip it, embarrass me. And then I'd go to shake his hand. I'd shake everybody's hand. I'd come to him. Right before I put it out, he'd turn his back on me. So he'd turn his back, and my hand would be trying to get a handshake from his back. So I stopped keeping my hand out for him, and I motherfuckered him.
You think it was jealousy?
I don't know. There's no reason for him to be jealous of anybody. He's top of the world, and he always was, and he always will be. And there was no reason for him to be jealous. But I seen him and heard of him stepping on younger guys when he doesn't have to. He was already on top. He was world champion, and he's stepping on guys or stopping them from coming up. My uncle taught me if someone is being held back, that means you're not really getting ahead. Now, if I'm better than this guy because I'm better than this guy, that's one thing. But if I'm only better than him because he's being held back, I'm not really being better than him.
Right. Exactly. And not only that, but you're not going to do this forever, right? And if someone really cares about the
I
art
actually
of pro
thought
wrestling,
I could do it forever. I actually thought I could.
Everyone thinks that at some point, but you want this business to kind of thrive and continue. And that only happens when the veterans really kind of show the young guys, this is what you do. Not really make it easy for them, but hey, this is what the fuck you got to do.
Well, like in Japan, when you start wrestling there, you become somebody's young boy. So when me and my uncle went to Japan, Hayabusa was our young boy. He carried our bags. He did everything for us while we were in Japan, washed our clothes, translated for us, got us food, anything we wanted. He was there. That was part of his paying his dues. And he got to learn from us. While he was taking care of us, I helped train him. So we would practice together.
Gotcha.
So he would pay me by carrying my bag and doing my laundry. I'd pay him back by teaching him how to wrestle.
So we're talking about the backstage of ECW and the parties. Everyone talks about the ECW parties. I hear they're the best around as far out of all the organizations. The ECW parties were the place to be. I talked to New Jack not before he passed, may he rest in peace. And he told me there was this Holiday Inn that everyone would go to. What was it?
Travel Lodge.
The Travel Lodge.
Yes.
He talked to me and he told me we would go to this hotel. It was right outside the ECW arena. And all the ring rats were there, and we would meet at the bar and we would drink till 2 or 3 till it closed, till 2 or 3 in the morning. Can you say that's what happened? Were those parties as wild as they were?
Yeah, but we drink till 2 or 3 a.m. and then go to our room and drink till the morning. Drink till 6 a.m. and do other stuff.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
lots of other stuff.
It must have been wild, man. It must have been some of the best times of your life.
It was cool because we were king shit. Like me, Sandman, Van Dam, Taz, Dreamer. Like we couldn't do no wrong. We were the backbone of the company. So whatever we did, we got away with. And then and so the parties. Although Paul heard about him, he never did nothing about it. He never reprimanded us. Never said slow down on the partying or nothing. He never did nothing. He said whatever it takes for you to do your job in the ring, that's what it takes.
I think he also probably thought it would bring some camaraderie between the locker room.
Yeah, and it did. Like I said, like you mentioned before, it was a family. Yeah, it was. When somebody got hurt, we all were concerned about it. If I was out in the back smoking a joint and I heard someone got hurt, I'd come in and check on them. Or if someone was out back getting a fight, I'd go outside and help them. One time I got the fight out back and the whole dressing room emptied out and helped me.
You were just on an episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I got to see it and saw you on there. That was awesome. And
thank you.
Talked a little bit about the run in XPW, which was the wannabe ECW. Would you agree?
Right. I agree.
Yeah, it was porn and wrestling, basically. Porn and wrestling.
I didn't know that till I went out there.
Okay, so what happened? How were you brought into XPW? What were you told about this organization?
Shane Douglas told me about it, and so I called this guy Rob Black, and then he called me back, of course, and then we talked, and he brought me in, and he promised me, he said yes to everything I wanted, but didn't give it to me exactly. You know, he didn't say no to anything, but he never gave me a straight answer. And so, but at the time I didn't care that much because I just left ECW and I was still hot in Japan and I was still hot in the States. So anywhere I went, it was still good for me, and I didn't expect it. To me, XCW was just another payday. It wasn't like ECW. I wasn't committed to it like ECW. I'm committed to everywhere I work, but I'm not committed. I wasn't committed to it to like ECW, or ECW was my family. You know,
right? This was just something to get a quick payday and keep it moving.
Yeah, it was a payday, and I wanted to go to LA. You know, I like going to LA. It was always fun to go in LA, and I'd go out there every month for about 3 or 4 days. So that was great, and they treated me well. You know. Until the last few weeks when I can't remember Messiah was screwing Rob Black's wife, and they wanted Messiah to beat me, and I said okay. But when it came down for the match, he wanted to kill Messiah, so he wanted to beat me. So I said no. So they did a thing where I ended up losing it, and then and he ended up firing me, and the same day. And that was a couple days later is when he cut Messiah's thumb off.
I was going to ask you, do you know for a fact that it was Rob Black? Or is it just
who else? Who else?
Yeah.
Who else?
It was crazy. Now, was it supposed to be the thumb, or was it?
I think it was supposed to be his dick because they were trying to get his pants off, and they stabbed him in the groin area. But they told Messiah that just give up. They smashed him in the head with a fish tank, beat the shit out of him. And he said that they were so tired and they were just begging him just to give up. He gave up. He said he seen his thumb in the cheers. And he just let him do it just so they'd quit. But they tried to get his other thumb off, and they couldn't get it. And he looked around for the thumb. He couldn't find it. They ran out for the thumb. They were bloodthirsty. Oh. And of course, they were on a hit. They didn't do that because there was nothing personal there. They were business. They went in to cut this guy's dick or thumb off, and they did.
Yeah.
I think they're going for his dick because I can see Rob Black saying, "Cut his fucking dick off." I can see him saying, "Bring me his dick."
What was Rob Black like backstage, man? Was he always just out there like gone?
Yeah, he was always over the top. Everything was like fucking great, gusto all the way. Nothing was ever like low key or like whenever he told me a story, it was always like in the moment, like, oh my God, this fucking guy, never like a normal story. Never talked normal to me. He's always fucking this and cocksucking that. And I thought he was a good guy. He wore shoes with 5-inch heels on it. I didn't know that.
When did you realize it was a porn company? Like what?
I didn't know that when I went out there. Shane mentioned something about it. He goes, but we don't have to deal with none of the porn stuff. So I didn't know what he was talking about. When I went out there, I realized what he was talking about. The porn office and the wrestling office was the same thing. They actually shot porn in the ring, the practice ring. So there's fucking cum in that practice ring. I couldn't, and it stunk. And like in the one room, they had porn shooting a scene. In the other room, they were practicing wrestling. And of course, it was so distracting we couldn't concentrate on our wrestling with the porn going on. It was very distracting.
Oh my God!
And Rob Black's porn was the over-the-top porn, the shit at each other, the drinking the piss, and all this gross stuff. And I watched it. It was disturbing. It was fucking disturbing.
Was it really what they said it was? Like you just said, it was crazy.
Yeah, they did a thing where the guy sat over this woman's face and he shit on her, and there was no trick camera photography. There was no trick photography. He shit on her.
You know what's crazy, Sabu? That there's a market out there for that because he was making money on this shit.
Yeah, well, see,
no pun intended.
The Drop's company also was he made custom videos. So if you give him $10,000 and you give him a script, he'll make you a private video for just you. Then he mass produces it and sells it anyways.
Holy fuck, man!
He had a good thing going. He just pushed the lines too much. Like try to take porn over certain state lines or something. Got in trouble for that. I spent a year in jail.
His porn company was funding the business, so it must have been doing well.
Yeah.
You mentioned New Jack. You got along with New Jack, right? You never had no
Yeah,
problems
he's one of
with
my
him.
better friends, believe it or not.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my better friends.
You always hear different things about New Jack, but it's cool that you got to really be friendly with him. And he was funny seeing him on the same episode with you. And Rob let him have a forklift to go back and choose as much porn as he wanted.
I was talking to New Jack a few weeks before he died, and we were talking about maybe doing a podcast together. Sabu and New Jack podcast where we hate everybody. And he actually died when he was on my mind. I was thinking about him when I got word he died. I was actually thinking about him.
You know what's crazy, Sabu? I recorded an interview with him back in March, and I saved it. Right, I was like, we're gonna release it on this day, right? And it ended up being the day he died was the day I was gonna release it. So I held it, and I reached out to his family, his wife, and I said, listen, out of respect for you, I want to get the okay from you before I release it because it was his final interview.
And she's a nice woman.
Jennifer's nice. Wonderful, but wonderful family, and she gave me her blessing on that. But it really hit home, man. You never know how long you have on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we got to take every day and live to the fullest. You know,
it's funny you said that because my wife, she just died a few months ago, and then the other day I went by my friend's apartment and found him dead in his apartment. Jesus. And then so that has just been following me.
Our condolences from the team here, and our love to you.
Thank you.
It's never easy. I lost my grandfather and my best friend in February to COVID of all things.
Oh, no.
Awful.
Melissa, Super Genie, she had COVID. We didn't know it. She got over it. And then she lost her leg. And then she was sick every other day. And then one day she had a heart attack.
It's rough, man.
And she was getting checked in, for all her heart and everything was fine. And then they said she had heart disease. But, after she died, they found out she had heart disease. But she had an EKG 3 or 4 days before this happened.
Yeah. My God. Well, once again, our love goes out to you, Sabu, about that.
And I don't know if you know, but she died in my hands. So I feel very guilty about it. And the doctors and the coroner said that she wouldn't have made it even in the hospital settings, but I don't believe that. I didn't call the ambulance soon enough. I was trying to do the CPR.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say to you, Sabu, is, you can't allow yourself to feel guilt.
But I have to. She died in my hands, in my care. And I'll never forgive myself.
Yeah. Hopefully one day, you'll have the strength to realize that it's not your fault, and all we can do is pray for you.
It still happened to my care. And if it happened to my care, it's my mistake. I should have called the ambulance as soon as I noticed her not breathing. But I thought I could revive her. And I didn't have my phone on me at the time. So when I was doing CPR, I was looking around the room for the phone. And when I got it, I ran and got it, put it on speaker, and then did it, continue with the CPR. But when I started the CPR, I got this. I'll save her. I didn't even panic yet. I didn't panic for about 5 minutes when she wasn't reviving. Yeah.
We just want you to know it's not. No matter what you think, I know, and it's hard to think that you're going to always blame yourself, but hopefully one day you get over that because everyone has a time. You know what I mean? Everyone has a time.
To tell you the truth, I don't deserve to get over it. I should have saved her. I don't care what anybody says about the hospital setting. She was savable.
Yeah.
But anyways, I had enough of that.
Let's talk about the current product. Okay. What's going on today in wrestling? AEW, WWE. These guys are, it's almost, it's not quite WCW, WWF, but it's getting there, right? What do you think? What do you think about this competition now?
I think it's good. I'm glad there's another company besides Vince what's paying that kind of money. TNA was a bit of a joke because they didn't pay like that. Although it was when I was in TNA, I considered it a poor man's WWE because it looked like we were making money, but we weren't. Like the top guys, Hogan, of course, was. Dixie Carter wasn't making no money. She lost a ton of money. She lost millions and millions of dollars, and so did her father. But anyways, WWE was always going to be number one. I don't care what anybody says. I wish someone else could knock them off the top, but it's not going to happen. I don't think they have their roots, or they have their claws in everything, every aspect of entertainment.
They own pretty much all the names, all the
they have the right
trademarks.
everybody's going crazy over the Hall of Fame bullshit. It's bullshit because if it wasn't Vince doing it, I would say it's not bullshit. But since it's Vince, he's doing it to draw more people to buy more tickets. He's not doing it to honor the wrestlers. He's making it sound like he is, but he's not.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you think, what would happen if you got the phone call to be in the Hall of Fame? How would you feel? What would be your immediate reaction?
I wouldn't get that excited. I'd only be excited because I'd eat the money now, and it would be a good payday. And I would probably motherfucker the company, motherfucker the Hall of Fame when I got it. Because I'd say, yeah, I'll accept it. And I go out there and I'll say, fuck you guys. This ain't worth a shit. But I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be thankful and grateful. But at the moment, I don't care about it. It's not really a Hall of Fame. It's just another payday for the WWE.
Yeah, it's just well, they are finally they announced that they're building some sort of Hall of Fame venue or something.
That would change my thoughts on it 100%. If they had a Hall of Fame building, then I would say that's a Hall of Fame. There's a place where you could actually touch it and talk to it and read it. You can
go see the memorabilia, the history, the videos. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I go to a Hall of Fame in Amsterdam, New York, and that's pretty much like a real Hall of Fame. They have Ed the Strangler Lewis and all these old guys, Lou Taz and all that stuff. All these guys, and they have memorabilia from my uncle. My uncle gave them years ago. And my uncle didn't give us. He never sold his stuff. He never did interviews. He never did like we're doing today by selling our gear. He never did that. But he gave them gear for their museum. They have a museum. That's what it's called. They have a pro wrestling museum. And I like going there. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the history of the guys I don't know because they're too old. But still, I like reading about it.
Yeah, because I just moved to Florida not too long ago, right? And Hogan has a couple of beach shops down here. And what's cool about them is when you go in, he has a lot of old memorabilia, like Andre the Giant's trunks, the boots, stuff like that. Really historical stuff. And I just wish there were more places like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To really see the history of pro wrestling.
Well, there's another one in Iowa, the Dan Gable Museum. That's a good Hall of Fame also. That's got amateur wrestlers and pro wrestlers. I was supposed to go to the Hall of Fame this year in Iowa, but they didn't have it.
I got a couple of fan questions for you. All right, here we go. Number one, Sabu. Who was the toughest person you ever faced in the ring? Like you knew, shit, tonight's going to be a fucking fight.
Probably Sandman, because when I wrestled him, I wrestled him one time, and Lance Storm said, "I bet everything hurts on you except for your hair." I go, "Fuck, are you kidding me?" He pulled my hair out. I said, that hurts the most. He pulled my hair out. He's pretty rough, but when you wrestle him, you expect it and you want it because he's drunk, so he's got to be rough.
And you can't help but know a fight's coming when he comes out to that entrance music. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily. You don't think it's gonna be a fight, but you know it's gonna be a struggle.
Gotcha. Another question for you. Do you regret any of the crazy matches that you have performed in?
No, not really. Even though I got hurt seriously a lot, I don't regret it. And sometimes I even got hurt and didn't get paid, and I don't regret it. It's just par for the course. It's part of the journey.
Who was a guy you couldn't stand to work with?
Taz.
I was going to say Test. Well, it's Taz.
Taz, that's a better one. That's for sure. Taz is number one. I hate it. Well, the thing with him was...
Go ahead.
The thing with him was his finish was a big boot to the face. Now, yes, he did that to me. Every time he hit me with it, he knocked me out with it. I said, if you can't work that, you can't use it. He goes, no, Vince wants me to use it. And he said, told me to kill you with it. I said to Vince, I go, you want him to kill you with it? He goes, no, I want him to work it on you. I said, well, tell him it's a work. He don't know what to work. He don't know how to work it. And Vince goes, if you can't work it, you can't do it. And he goes, okay, I'll work it. But he acted like he didn't know how to work it.
I heard he was a little hard to work with because he always felt he should never sell for the smaller guys, right?
Yeah. Well, one time we're somewhere, and me and CM Punk and him were in a match, and CM goes, "I'll do this to you." And he goes, "No." And if I do that to you, he goes, "Why not?" And Tess goes, "Because I'm 6'7" and you're not. And me and Punk looked at each other and started laughing. Well, this guy's an idiot.
How do you feel about CM Punk returning to wrestling? What was it like seeing
it's good. It's good. Anything that brings spotlight back on wrestling again. And he's a good worker. I like him. And he's when I went to WWE, I rode with him. He picked me up from the airport the first time.
That's awesome.
him and Roadkill. But anyways, I think he's good for the business.
If AEW called you, would you go?
Yeah. If they wanted me to wrestle, I'd have to have some time to get in shape, and I wouldn't say no. I'd tell them the truth, tell them I'm hurt, and it could be my last match. I don't know. But if they wanted me to work backstage, I definitely would.
Would you help with the younger guys and showing them what live TV
producing the match or whatever, train guys or whatever they'd want me to do. See, the thing is, I know they don't want to use me, and I got a bad reputation of taking things too personal. But that was when I was wrestling. If it's not my match and I'm just helping out, I'll help out. I won't give say Sabu wouldn't do that and Sabu wouldn't do this. I wouldn't say that at all. But I know that's what part of their worries is that I take it too personal.
Right.
But I wouldn't take that too personal. It's a job.
Sabu, I got one more question for you before we wrap this up. You've had an awesome career so far. We can't say it's over yet. So far. What is your favorite match of all time that you were in?
Because to get so much hype over is the barbed wire match with Terry Funk. That's my favorite match, I guess. Actually, let me take that back. My favorite match is the first match I had in ECW, me versus Taz. 200 people there. I was wearing blue pants. It was the very first match I came in, and Taz was the Tasmaniac. He's still wearing the face paint and acting like Fred Flintstone. And that was my favorite match. When I watched it, it was great. There was a lot of applause in it, of course, but the people, first time they see me, they didn't know how to react. They were scared to death. And I had people even today tell me I gave them nightmares from that night.
Sabu, you are the fucking man. The man. Thank you, Sabu, so much. Thank you. Once again, have a great night, man. Hope to talk to you soon.
I had a good time. Thank you very much.
Be safe. No problem. Thank you.